We can do better. It's not about pain.
It could cause permanent damage to the eyes.
A new tool for police. The flying handcuffs is a restraint device called a Ebola wrap. But critics tell the ABC 7 News I-Team it may not be safe as promised.
I-Team reporter Stephanie Sierra saw a live demonstration, and she's in studio with us to explain exactly how this works, Steph.
That's right, Larry. This handheld device operates like a lasso. Inside, it has a cartridge like this that deploys a cord with sharp anchors at the end. And I'll tell you, these are very sharp. The idea is officers would have it on hand as an alternative to using a taser, baton, or even a gun. So is it really safer? We asked experts on both sides.
I'm not going to jail. I'm not going to hospital either.
Sir, I need you to turn around and put your hands behind your back.
No,
sir,
I'm not going back to the hospital.
And put your hands behind your back. You're going to get wrapped.
No, I'm going to the hospital.
Wrap.
That was not a gunshot, but the deployment of what's called a Ebola wrap, a non-lethal alternative to a taser, gun, or baton.
It's been described as kind of flying handcuffs.
It's an electronic handheld lasso device that shoots out a 7.5-foot cord that wraps around the intended target with two anchors that look like fishing hooks. It requires a 3-foot clearance around the person to properly deploy.
Pull that back.
I tried it myself.
Hold it tight.
It's loud and it's fast, shooting out about 400 feet per second.
I turn the device on. You see there's a 7-dot laser. So where that is displayed is where that will point to the individual, allowing the officer to know this is the wrap zone.
Kevin Mullins is the company's CEO.
So typically you see a wrap zone kind of mid-thigh to ankle or just above the elbow to the wrist.
The device has been pitched to the San Francisco Police Department with the idea officers would deploy it if dealing with individuals who are non-compliant, undergoing a mental health crisis, or on drugs.
I truly believe no other city in the world could benefit as much from Ebola wrap as what San Francisco would.
Each device costs around $1,300 and is now being used in 1,100 law enforcement agencies across the U.S., including 60 in California and the Bay Area, like the San Mateo and Solano County Sheriff's Offices and the Walnut Creek, Menlo Park, and Pinole Police Departments.
Allowing that individual to be detained without pain or injury.
You might get a slap on the hand or a slap on the head with something, but it's not going to be catastrophic. It's not going to be a major injury like something going to your eye or something like that.
My issue is losing an eye.
Retired 29-year veteran LAPD detective and use of force expert Timothy T. Williams disagrees.
As it wraps around the legs, as it wraps around the torso, if you're not deployed properly, it could also wrap around the facial area. It could cause permanent damage to the eyes.
You talked about how it's non-pain inducing. What about the concerns some have raised about the hooks possibly hitting someone's eye or the rope scraping someone's neck, for example?
Well, we work in a lot of training, and that's part of what our protocol is we have different levels of training out to an agency.
What about incidents of choking? Have you had any of those?
Never had an incident like that. It's just physics won't allow it. It will wrap, but it's not going to wrap tight enough around a neck to be able to choke, and then it's not going to constrict.
How can you be sure it doesn't get into someone's eye?
It's by turning the laser on. It's extremely accurate. It's extremely consistent.
But what happens if their aim is off, right, in a fast-moving situation?
Never had that happen.
Here's another perspective.
I mean, it's the same narrative all the time. They are interested in making a profit. They are not interested in public safety. So they're going to say whatever they need to in order to push their product forward.
Williams points out the company's demonstrations online and in person show someone with their skin covered.
But if a person doesn't have the benefit of that covering, then those barbs will go into the skin.
Mullins says the anchors have a safety cap on the end that would prevent any penetration.
The worst thing you may potentially see is if one of those small anchors were to go through the clothing and catch the skin. The worst thing you would see would just be a Band-Aid, a very small prick.
And he says the company has never had any reports of serious injuries.
We've had no lawsuits, no deaths.
Unlike tasers, the company says Ebola wraps are not considered to be electronic control devices or ECDs. In fact, Mullins says 98% of the interactions between subjects and law enforcement are not considered uses of force.
It is really unnecessary.
But concerns have been raised about the effect those sharp anchors and loud noises that could easily be mistaken for a gunshot may have on individuals struggling.
Give me that shield now!
You guys ready?
Like this video published by the company,
Bola!
where you see the Erie Police Department in Pennsylvania responding to a call from a mom whose autistic son was outside throwing objects at cars. We shared it with Dr. Tomoya Hirota, a child psychiatrist and the medical director of UCSF's Autism Center, and Dr. Lawrence Fung, assistant professor of psychiatry at Stanford.
It's really hard to see.
Dr. Fung thinks the BOLA wrap could overstimulate anyone undergoing a mental health crisis.
I'm a bit worried about if we say this is a great device, they may just use it without considering any other options.
You want to go to the hospital?
Same situation in this other video from Missouri, where the Columbia Police Department responded to a trespassing call at a local convenience store that turned into an attempted break-in.
Get bowled. Bola.
The more aggressive the intervention may be, the worse the reaction from a person that may have intellectual disability or other mental health conditions.
So you could see strong arguments on both sides here. While the idea itself sounds like a simple solution, things are never simple in San Francisco. It would be a complicated process to get this passed, first needing approval from the police commission. And to that point, Mullen says Chief Scott was impressed and was even wrapped himself a couple of times. And I brought the cord to show you guys just how sharp those anchors are at the end.
Yeah, definitely. But that would be on the clothing, preferably. I mean, it's better than being shot, clearly, or being tased,
Yeah, exactly.
I would think.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting me know in the commercial break that you wanted to demonstrate this on me.
Full disclosure, yeah, we did talk about that, Larry.
Was this a vote in the newsroom or that I won? And if so, I wonder why.
I know. Well,
I didn't vote.
Yeah, she voted 5 times. Thank you, Stephanie.
Wow.